Today we want to beat every single Pokemon champion, and there is a lot of them, using Gary Oak's Pokemon. Gary has some incredibly powerful Pokemon throughout the years, such as Arcanine, Nidoqueen, and Nidoking, and many more. So throughout the games we will swap Pokemon in and out depending on the ones he had, and that are available to us. Time for the brief rules. I'm only using Gary's Pokemon for battle. I won't use any held items or items in battle. I'll use each feature involved if it's available to Gary's team, like Mega Evolution or Z moves. And finally, I won't level past the champion's highest level Pokemon. Also, as a side note, I won't be playing remakes of the same champion, so if we play Red, we won't play Fire Red as an example. Let's get started. First up is Pokemon Yellow, and we have the champion for this game, Blue. Technically, it's based on us, but whatever. We have some powerful Pokemon though, so I don't think this fight is going to be an issue. His usual lead is Sandslash, and we lead with our Eevee. We can hit a Body Slam for reasonably solid damage as Sandslash lands a critical hit Slash on us. We return the favour with a critical hit Body Slam, and Sandslash crits us with Slash again. That's a tongue twister. We are at 20 HP before we take down Sandslash with another attack. His next Pokemon is Alakazam. He actually lands a Kinesis, which lowers our accuracy, so we miss our attack. However, the next turn, he misses his, and we connect a Body Slam, nearly taking him out in just one move. Alakazam lowers our accuracy some more, and we don't land another hit. Unfortunately, Eevee goes down to his Psybeam, but he's put in some solid work. We send out Golem next, and a Seismic Toss takes out Alakazam. Third up is his Executor. We actually outspeed and hit a Fire Punch for decent damage, and Gen 1's AI will always go for a grass move Leech Seed as it sees it as a super effective move, so he Leech Seeds us. We fire off another Fire Punch, taking him low as Leech Seed saps us, and Executor goes for the same move once again. So on our third turn we can take out the Eggplant with another Fire Punch. Fourth is Cloyster. We outspeed and hit a Rock Slide doing massive damage, but not quite enough for the knockout, as Cloyster gets a little bit of recovery from the Leech Seed and hits an Ice Beam, taking us pretty low. So the next turn we connect another Rock Slide, and that's that for Cloyster. Ninetales is fifth and confuses us to start off, but we break through and hit an Earthquake for the one-hit KO, leaving his last Pokemon, Jolteon. But we wall this thing. He hits a 5-turn pin missile, critical hitting I think all of them, but one Earthquake is enough to take down Jolteon, giving us a very strong victory over Blue. So let's jet off to Johto now. Lance is a champion in Generation 2, and looking at his Pokemon we have solid answers to them, mainly being our Blastoise as our check. So let's see how this goes. Gyarados is his lead, and we lead with our now evolved Eevee, Umbreon. We outspeed and connect a Zap Cannon, a move I've not really used a lot in any of my playthroughs, and that's enough to take down Gyarados in just one attack. Second is Dragonite. We connect another Zap Cannon, doing nearly half, and we get the Paralyze, as Dragonite goes for a Thunder Wave, paralysing us. We have hidden power though on Umbreon, so with the Zap Cannon damage, that's enough to take down our first Dragonite. His third Pokemon is another Dragonite. It misses the Blizzard, allowing us to fire off a huge hidden power, just missing out on the knockout, as he misses a Hyper Beam. We get paralysed on our next attack, but he misses Hyper Beam again. I feel sorry for Lance, that's just super bad luck. We break through our Paralyze and end Dragonite's suffering. Fourth is Aerodactyl. He's faster and hits a Rock Slide, and we get flinched, but we are bulky and we tank it pretty well. He hits us again and we connect a hidden power, taking Aerodactyl to just under half. He gets mad and fires off a Hyper Beam as we get fully paralysed. He needs to recharge though, so another hidden power and down goes Aerodactyl. Fifth is Charizard, and I want to save Umbreon. It's done insane work up to this point and doesn't deserve to go down. So we swap into Blastoise on the Flamethrower and it does practically nothing. We can attack with Surf now and we get the one-hit knockout on Charizard, getting revenge for Gary like on Ash, leaving his last Pokemon Dragonite. But we have Ice Beam. We outspeed, and that's that for Lance. So far so good. It's going as I expected it would for Gary's team. It's time to head on to Hoenn. Pokemon Ruby's champion is Steven, with Rock and Steel being his speciality and us having a team that's more than capable of dealing with them. This should be another quite easy victory. Skarmory versus Umbreon. We attack with a Shadow Ball, but we don't do much to him at all. We do get the special defense drop though, and he hits us with a weak Aerial Ace. Our best option is to swap into Arcanine, and we get off and Intimidate, lowering his attack, as he sets up spikes, so when we switch we're going to take damage. One Flamethrower, especially with a special defense drop though, takes out the Steel Bird no problems. Steven chooses Metagross now, seeing the kill with Earthquake, but we outspeed him and hit a Flamethrower, but we don't quite do enough damage for the knockout, and he retaliates with a massive Earthquake, taking us down to about 62 HP. He activates his berry and Steven full restores him, as we Flamethrower, but this time we get a better damage roll and take him out in just one move. His choice now is Claydol, and I go for a Ninetale, doing a good chunk of damage before he takes out Arcanine with an Earthquake. It's time to use one of our new members of our team, Scissor, for the first time. We take a little bit of damage from spikes before I decide to Fury Cutter. It's a move that builds in power the more time we use it. Claydol's Earthquake is doing decent damage to us. Our next Fury Cutter does a lot more as his Earthquake puts us in the yellow. Steven uses another full restore, but our Fury Cutter has built up a lot of damage now, so one more takes down Claydol. Up next is Aggron. I know our Fury Cutter isn't effective, but I want to see how much we can do with it, and we do around 30% I think, as he hits us with an Earthquake, taking us to the red. We hit another Fury Cutter and take him all the way down to the red, before he finishes off Sizzle with a Thunder. We can send out one of our powerhouses now with insane move coverage, Nidoking. Steven full restores as our Flamethrower takes him all the way back down, so the next turn, that's the end of Aggron, and Steven goes to Armaldo. I stay in and hit another Flamethrower, but we don't do enough for a 2-hit knockout, and he Water Pulses us. We go for an Ice Beam to see if it does a bit more damage, and it is. His Slash is doing okay damage as well, and Steven full restores Armaldo. We attack with another Ice Beam, again, and take him low before he hits a Water Pulse, and gets a Confusion. We break through though, and take down Armaldo with an Earthquake, leaving only Cradilly left. We hit a super effective Ice Beam for a massive chunk of damage before a Giga Drain takes down Nidoking, and heals him up a little bit. We go into Nidoqueen now, and the Surf doesn't quite get us a kill, and he confuses Nidoqueen. The next turn we hit ourselves in Confusion, and he heals a bit again with a Giga Drain, but it's not doing too much to us, so we finally break through and beat Cradilly with an Earthquake, defeating Steven. That wasn't that bad of a fight, but let's move on to our next champion. Wallace is our next champion for Emerald. His speciality is water types, so it has the potential to be a scary battle for us, but I think we can cope. So his lead is scary. It's a Wailord that knows Rain Dance and Water Spout. We go for a Toxic with Umbreon to start chipping away at his HP, and he Water Spouts us, but we take it reasonably well. Our Psychic is also doing pretty good damage to him as he double edges us. He takes a bit of recoil and poison damage to put him under just half. We hit another Psychic, putting him in the red as he sets up the Rain, boosting water type moves even more. But because of Toxic damage racking up before Wallace can heal him with a full restore, it takes down Wailord thankfully. Tentacruel is his second Pokemon of choice, but we know Sidekick, so we do nearly half as he connects a Rain boosted Hydro Pump and we barely hang on. So we get off some more great damage with one more Sidekick before a single Sludge Bomb ends Umbreon. I go into Nidoking and we know Thunderbolt, so on Wallace's full restore we hit him and we do over half, so we don't have to take an attack of this thing and we can take it swiftly down. Ludicolo is out and this thing can be a problem. Thankfully the rain has stopped and we hit a Thunderbolt for around a quarter of his health. He starts setting up a double team and this isn't good. We do connect another Thunderbolt before Ludicolo surfs us for huge damage. I stay in a Thunderbolt again, taking him to a Slither as he takes out our Nidoking. Wallace will definitely heal now, so I go into Scizor. I miss a Fury Cutter though. We connect our next Fury Cutter and Ludicolo double teams again, so our Fury Cutter misses. If he keeps setting up, we're in trouble. We miss again and he actually Leech Seeds us this turn. I change my move and go for a Wing Attack and we connect. I nearly get the one-hit knockout as he double teams again and he gets some HP back from Leech Seed. We Wing Attack and thankfully connect, taking down the Ludicolo. Third up is Whiscash. We lose a bit of HP to Leech Seed and I go for a Fury Cutter, not doing much at all, as his Surf and Leech Seed takes us down to the red. I get off some final damage before letting Scizor go down to an Earthquake. Blastoise is time to shine now and we fire off a Surf, doing great damage as he Amnesias, boosting his special defense. But our next Surf takes him to 1 HP and Whiscash Hyper Beams us, but we eat it pretty nicely, so we can finish him off with one more move. Fifth is Gyarados. Having the flying type means our Ice Beam is going to do neutral damage to him, and his best move is Earthquake to us, but we are bulky and it doesn't do much, so we attack him again. He goes for a Dragon Dance, and this is a little bit scary for us. His Earthquake is doing a lot more now, but not enough, and we take down Gyarados with another Ice Beam, leaving his last Pokemon, Milotic. This has great bulk and we are low, so I stay in and go for a bite for chip damage, as he poisons us. We hit another bite before Milotic takes down Blastoise with a Surf and poison damage. We only have 2 Pokemon left now, Nidoqueen and Arcanine, and they're both weak to water, so we go into Arcanine and hit an extreme speed, taking him to under half, as his Surf nearly takes us out in just one attack. We activate his Berry and hit another extreme speed before down goes Arcanine. Our last Pokemon is Nidoqueen, and thankfully we outspeed, meaning a Thunderbolt takes him down, as we have done just enough chip damage to to guarantee it. That was actually pretty close, so let's set our sights now on Sinnoh. Cynthia is a champion and she has a strong team with a lot of coverage, but so do we now we've added an Electivire to our team. So we lead off with Umbreon into Spirit Tomb. We do solid damage with Dark Pulse and his move is Silver Wind, which doesn't do too much. We trade moves again and Cynthia full restores, so we just keep chipping away with Dark Pulses and he keeps Silver Winding, but doesn't get any stat raises, so we eventually take this thing down, but it leaves Umbreon at half HP. She sends out Lucario and I let Umbreon go down here to a single Aura Sphere. Then we can bring in our Electivire. One Flamethrower destroys Lucario for a one-hit knockout. Out next is Garchomp, and I actually don't really have anything to swap in on attack. Even Scissor doesn't want to take an Earthquake, so I let Electivire go down and bring out Blastoise. He Dragon Rushes us for decent damage as our Ice Punch takes him to his berry. He heals to half and hits us for an Earthquake, putting us on only 60 HP before another Ice Punch takes down Garchomp. Roserade comes out and we outspeed it and hit an Ice Punch again. He lives on a Sliver though and finishes off Blastoise with an Energy Ball. We can go into Arcanine here and Cynthia full restores, but a Flare Blitz is too hot for him to handle and he falls over. Milotic is out and I have Thunderfang. We get the flinch turn 1 and it's doing over half, so only one more Thunderfang and Milotic wasn't an issue this time. Togekiss is the last Pokemon. We hit a Thunderfang for nearly half and we get the Paralyze. RNG's in our favour again. He hits a Water Pulse for solid damage and the next turn we bring her to a Sliver and she can't move thanks to the paralysis. I go for an Extreme Speed thinking it's over, but Cynthia falls restores, so we Thunderfang and a Water Pulse brings us to 13 HP before our final Thunderfang defeats Togekiss and Cynthia. With Gen 4 out the way, let's head on to the Gen 5 games. First up in Gen 5 is Alder, and like Cynthia, he has a wide range of Pokemon. His lead is a Selgot and we have Umbreon first. It's not a good matchup for us at all, but for some reason I stay in and see how well I can tank a Bug Buzz, and it's not well at all. It does nearly half as our Dark Pulse does a bit less to him. Selgot actually goes for a me first, so he Dark Pulses us for not much at all, as our Dark Pulse takes him to the red, meaning we can burn a full restore here. We take him to nearly half again before Umbreon falls to a Bug Buzz. Electivire time, and a Bug Buzz hurts us, but a Flamethrower takes him down. Bufalon is out and we go for a Focus Blast. We connect but miss out on the knockout, so he retaliates with an Earthquake, taking down Electivire. We send out Arcanine and lower his attack with Intimidate and Flare Blitz to secure the KO. Escavalier is his next Pokemon, but it's 4 times weak to fire, so one Flare Blitz and he falls too. Volcarona is out and it's a threat. Our Extreme Speed does nearly half as he starts setting up with a Quiver Dance. We Extreme Speed again and he Hyper Beams, which at +1 takes down Arcanine. So on the turn he's recharging, we can Revenge Kill with Blastoise. However, I have a physical water attack, so we get burned, reducing our attack stat. Drudigon's out and luckily my Blastoise has Ice Beam and not Ice Punch. We outspeed and Ice Beam does a solid 70% to him. We tank his Outrage very nicely and then finish him off with a final Ice move. This just leaves Vanillix. I go for an Outrage for chip damage as he sets up a Light Screen. We get off a final attack before we fall to damage. I can go into Scizor now and hit a super effective Bullet Punch though and defeat the Ice Scream, beating our first Gen 5 champion. Iris is our next champion of Generation 5 and the majority of her Pokemon are dragons, so Blastoise should handle this rather well. She leads off with Hydreigon and we lead with our Blastoise. He outspeeds and hits a Dragon Pulse for solid damage and our Ice Beam doesn't quite secure the KO, so a second Dragon Pulse takes us to below half as we finish it off with one more Ice Beam. Lapras comes out and it has Thunderbolt, so I just go for an Outrage to get off some damage, but we actually tank the Thunderbolt, so we manage to get off another Outrage to put her under just half before we fall down to an attack. We can swap into our Electivire here and knock out Lapras with a Thunderbolt. Aggron comes out and thankfully we connect to Focus Blast, so we get the one-hit KO on Aggron. Haxorus is the next choice, and it has a Focus Sash and knows Dragon Dance, so I am a bit worried. I stay in and go for a Thunderbolt to break the stash as he does in fact go to set up. The next turn he outspeeds and takes down Electivire with a single Earthquake. I go into Nidoking hoping to survive an attack, but we don't, so we actually just threw our Nidoking away. We swap into our Umbreon and he Dragon Dances again. We might just get swept by this thing now. We hit a Dark Pulse, bring this HP down some more as he goes for an X-Scissor to deal with our Umbreon, but it doesn't do enough even at +2, so we can take down Haxorus with a Dark Pulse. That was close, it is lucky Umbreon is pretty bulky. Her next Pokemon is Drudigon. I heal here with a Moonlight and he misses a Focus Blast. We hit a Dark Pulse and we flinch him. We hit another Dark Pulse to bring him below half as he Dragon Tails Umbreon, bringing in Scizor, but a Bullet Punch deals with the rest of his HP, taking down Drudigon. Her final Pokemon is Archeops. but it's rock type, so a super effective bullet punch gets the priority and deals with a dino bird, giving us our victory over Iris and Generation 5. It's time to move on to Generation 6. So in Pokemon X and Y we have Diantha as the champion. We basically swept her with a Butterfree 10 levels lower than her last time, so let's see how Gary fares. Her lead is Hawlucha and we send out Blastoise. We can Mega Evolve it this generation, so we do Mega Evolve and Hawlucha sets up a Swords Dance. It's in vain though, as one attack with Ice Beam and we get the one-hit knockout. Aurorus is out now, and I make a slight misplay. I go for a Focus Blast rather than a Flash Cannon, so she gets up a Light Screen. Our Flash Cannon is still doing massive damage now though, and she hits a Thunder, doing nearly half to us. We Flash Cannon again and take down the Ice Dinosaur. Up next is Gourgeist. This thing has never hit us before, but with Light Screen it actually finally lives a move, and goes for Trick or Treat, adding the Ghost type to us. Diantha uses a full restore, but our Ice Beam is still doing way too much damage, so we take down Gourgeist without it damaging us again. Her next Pokemon is Tyrantrum. One Ice Beam is all it takes to take down the T-Rex though. Gudra time is quite bulky, so it does live one of our Ice Beams, but it still takes it to half, and we get the Freeze, meaning Gudra falls down to one more attack, leaving her last Pokemon, Gardevoir. It's Mega versus Mega now. We actually outspeed and use Water Pulse, and do over half, as she hits a Thunderbolt, taking us to only 34 HP. She then outspeeds us, taking down Blastoise and stopping the Mega Blastoise sweep. Scizor can safely finish the fight off though with a Bullet Punch. So close to the sweep again, yet so far. Let's fly off to Alola now. How is the person we fight to become champion here? His Tauros is usually a problem, and Incineroar, so let's see how we match up this time. We have a good lead into his Raichu with Umbreon, but he goes for a Focus Blast that does massive damage, and our Dark Pulse doesn't quite take him out. He connects yet another Focus Blast, and Umbreon lives on 1 HP to take down the Raichu. He sends out Tauros and we take the Intimidate on Umbreon, and he takes us down. We go into Arcanine and lower its attack. It outspeeds us, and Earthquake still does good damage though. We Flare Blitz, taking him down to the yellow, and we go down to the yellow ourselves after Recoil. We can take Tauros down first though with a priority Extreme Speed. He sends out Crabominable, I probably said that wrong again for some reason, so we Flare Blitz it for the one-hit knockout and take ourselves to 32 HP with Recoil damage. Incineroar is his next Pokemon. We do a good chunk with Wild Charge before we fall to a single Earthquake. We swap in Blastoise and we go for a Waterfall, and he hits us pretty hard with the Darkest Lariat. We knock out Incineroar though with just one more Waterfall. His fifth Pokemon is Leafeon, and it goes for a Baby Doll Eyes. I hate this move. If you've seen my Brock run, you know why. We Ice Beam though and Freeze again. Howlful restores though, removing the freeze, but we get a better damage roll and knock it out this time. His last Pokemon is Noivern. We tank a Dragon Pulse and can beat Noivern with just a single Ice Beam, beating How and becoming champion. This was pretty easy, but Blastoise is pretty strong. It's time for the Switch games now, starting with Let's Go. Trace is the champion in Let's Go Pikachu. His Pokemon only have 3 moves, but he has good type variety and a Mega, so let's give it a shot. It's Mega versus Mega again here, as we both Mega Evolve. We outspeed Pidgeot and hit an Ice Beam, and this thing's HP goes down so quick it's barely on the screen. Trace sends out Vileplume second, and an Ice Beam destroys him also. Jolteon is his third Pokemon, and we hit a Dragon Pulse doing just over half, as he connects a Thunder, taking us to around half also. We hit another Dragon Pulse and take down Jolteon. I don't know how I'm outspeeding these Pokemon unless they have a seriously low speed stat. Our nature is timid, so maybe that's playing into it also. Slowbro is his fourth Pokemon, but it can't live a super effective Dark Pulse and falls down in one move. Rapidash is his fifth Pokemon. It's weak to water, so our Blastoise gets another one-hit knockout with a Scald, leaving his last Pokemon, Marowak. He's also weak to water, so one Scald takes him down, and Mega Blastoise gets a really quick, clean sweep on Trace. Well, that went super well. Let's move on to Generation 8. The champion for Sword and Shield is Leon. We have access to a natural legendary now, Regidrago, and we swap in Hatterene. We also have a Gigantamax Blastoise, so our team is looking super strong versus him. His lead is Aegislash, and we lead off with Umbreon. We have the type advantage here. We Dark Pulse for over half, as he swaps stances and hits us with a Sacred Sword, dealing solid damage. I call his King Shield here and go for a Moonlight, so we restore all of our HP lost. We can now take down Aegislash with a Dark Pulse. Leon's second Pokemon is Haxorus. I stay in as I want to get off damage, as it goes for an Outrage. Our Dark Pulse does nearly half to him in return. His second Outrage takes us to 47 HP, and he gets confused, as our Dark Pulse takes him to the red. Leon full restores here, and I get off just a little bit more damage. Knowing the Outrage is coming, I swap into Hatterene, as we are part Fairy type. Haxorus hits a super effective Iron Tail and lowers our defense for massive damage, as a Dazzling Gleam picks up the knockout on Haxorus. Third is Dragapult. It's faster and takes down Hatterene with a Shadow Ball. I go into Regidrago now, our legendary, and I believe we can tank a Dragon Breath and set up, but unfortunately it paralyzes us. So now we're at a +1 attack, but definitely slower. Dragapult Dragon Breaths us again, taking us low, and we get haxed. So our legendary does absolutely nothing and dies. That's unlucky. Our team is actually starting to look pretty messed up, and I don't want to go into Blastoise yet, so I go into Electivire to deal with Dragapult. We take a Shadow Ball decently, and fire off a Psychic for nearly half. We exchange the same moves, but Dragapult is coming worse off than me, meaning we live a Shadow Ball on only 7 HP and take down Dragapult. I'm glad this thing's down. Inteleon is next, and it's faster. It Snipe Shot Electivire for the knockout. We're in pretty bad shape now. I go into Arcanine and hope our bulk helps survive a move here. Inteleon Snipe Shots us, and we live on 60 HP, and we hit a Wild Charge for the critical hit knockout, taking him down and putting us on very low HP from recoil. Next is Mr. Rhyme. Arcanine can Flare Blitz here for the one-hit knockout, but we're going to lose Arcanine in the process. That leaves us with Blastoise and a weak Umbreon to deal with Gigantamax Charizard. We both Gigantamax, and Charizard's obviously faster. He knows a grass move, so he can hit us with a Max Overgrowth, and it does over half. This might be over. We hit back with a G-Max Cannonade that looks insane, and we deal massive damage, but it's not a one-hit KO. He takes chip damage, and we heal a little bit because of the grassy terrain. He Max Overgrowths again, and because of the HP restore, we live on only 9 HP and can take him out with one more Max Cannonade. That was insanely close. Thanks to the secondary effect of his grass move, we beat him. Umbreon would not have lived a G-Max Wildfire, so it all came down to that. On to the latest games and our final champion. Time for the last challenge and the last champion, Jita. She has some good Pokemon like Espartha, Kingambit and Glamora. We unfortunately have to say goodbye to Blastoise now though, as the Indigo Disc isn't quite out yet. But we swap it out with Tyranitar, who Gary used in a fight with Articuno. We lead off with our new team member Tyranitar, and he's against Espartha. We set up the Sandstorm with our ability, and we tank a Dazzling Gleam easily. We return with a Crunch that gets a one-hit KO on the Ostrich. Next up is Avalugg. Tyranitar connects a Stone Edge, doing massive amounts of damage to him considering his defense, but a Body Press destroys us, so we lose our first Pokemon. We swap into Scizor, who can take out the Avalugg with a priority Bullet Punch. Third is Kingambit, Steel versus Steel. We hit a Bug Bite doing nearly half, as his Katal Cleave takes us pretty low. Our next Bug Bite puts him in the red, but his final Katal Cleave takes down Scizor. We can go into Arcanine, who's been with us since the start, and Flare Blitz to secure the KO on Kingambit. Veluza is out now, and we outspeed and hit a Wild Charge, taking it to the red. We get hit by Recoil, and after a Liquidation, we are super low. I forgot Veluza knows Aqua Jet, so it takes us out first. We go into Regidrago now and set up a Dragon Dance. Veluza Ice Fangs it, and we tank it quite nicely, and thankfully we don't get hacks this time. So we take down Veluza with a Thunder Fang. Go-Go is her 5th Pokemon, and we have Fire Fang. We don't quite KO it, but he only goes for a bulk up, raising his stats. So one more Fire Fang takes him down. Last Pokemon of the run is Glamora. She Terastallizes into a Rock type, and our Dragon Claw takes her to 25%. She Dazzling Gleams, but Regidrago takes it very easily. So we can finish off Glamora with a final Dragon Claw, beating the last champion of the franchise. This was a unique and fun run to do. It was very easy, but that's because of how strong Gary's Pokemon are. I'm thinking of adding a sort of Nuzlocke rule to future teams where if we lose a Pokemon, it's dead forever, progressing forward. Let me know what you think about that. If you like this sort of Pokemon content and a lot more, subscribe and leave a like. Our next challenge is definitely going to be a solo Pokemon one, so if you have any ideas, let me know. I'm quite active on my community page also. I also want to give a shout out to Jacob Williams for his idea on using Gary's Pokemon. I know it's not quite Fire Red, but we did do every game with his team instead. As always, I appreciate every one of you that watches, and I'll see you in the next one.